kind of the director of the show. I really believe they're the director of the show, and I'm not just saying that. They actually chose their rehearsal times, chose their warm-ups, asked me to leave the room half the time, chose where they wanted to go on stage. So it really is their show. And it was my sneaking suspicion that if we left them alone, that they would shine. And that's what we expect from them. That's what we expect from anybody in the school, is that when it comes to the arts, that we raise our game and that we start to really excel. And the show we have for you today is a short show. It runs about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And it's a good story. It's an important story. And we've worked very hard on telling the story so that you understand it, you can follow it. We decided not to play the show as 12 angry jurors. We wanted to do it in its original form, which is in the 1956, white men. Okay? So watch our bodies, listen to our voices, watch how we talk to each other. We put a lot of work into it. We're not trying to fool anybody, but that's who we are. Okay? Just a couple of notes. It runs 1 hour and 20 minutes. Obviously no phones, no photography, none of that. It's intermission less. There is no intermission, so settle in. We ask that you stay in your seats unless it's an absolute emergency. When the show is over, we're going to get you to lunch as quickly as you can. Those people will have that lunch hour. If not, if it's too late for whatever reason, we'll give you an announcement and tell you how we'll handle that. Yeah, please don't linger. You can talk to actors later. We have one more show Tuesday night. The show changes every day. Every day it changes. You'll see it's different because it's their show. They do it differently every day. I'm wondering if there's anything else. Emergency exits are this way, but we don't think there's going to be an emergency. Please don't talk while the actors are acting. Don't yell out actors' names. Anything like that. Okay, I trust you guys. I know you'll be a good audience. Okay? I don't think I'm missing anything. So it's time to, as we get the last couple people seated, to sit back, relax, and enjoy 12 Angry Men.
Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. Through a prolonged and complex case, gentlemen, it is now your duty to try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then he must be found not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, he doesn't stand a chance. All right, gentlemen, courtroom's open.
Chewing gum? Gum? Gum?
Thank you, but no.
You know something?
I know a lot of things. I'm not buzzing.
You know it's hot?
Well, I wouldn't have known that if you had told me, would you?
Suppose not. Guess I've forgotten.
All day, all I do is sweat.
I bet you aren't sweating like that kid who was dry.
I mean, you'd think that at least air condition the place. I almost dropped dead in court.
My taxes are high enough.
You know, this should go fast anyway.
Yes, hot.
All right, gentlemen, looks like everyone's here, so if you need anything or have any questions, just knock them right outside.
Did he just lock that door?
Yes, he did.
What did they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up for a little while.
And then they locked that kid up forever. And that's okay for you?
Never knew they did that. Sure, they locked the door. What did you think?
I just didn't know. Never occurred to me.
But shall we all admit right now that it is hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder what's been going down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, I could lose my job. And the whole company, too. They aren't going to like this.
Well, figure this is our duty.
I didn't object to my duty. I just mentioned I might not have a job by the time I get back.
Ask him to hire you. He's rich. Look at the suit.
Is he custom tailored?
Yes, it is.
I happen to have an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he do?
Not too much. You know, a friend of his, that's a friend of my uncle, Taylor. Well, this kid wanted to be on his jury in my place.
And you didn't let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
Did he get caught or something? Do you know what kind of fine you could pay for anything like that? Anyways, this friend of my uncle was on a jury once, about 10 years ago. Case just about like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off, recently now. But do you know, about 8 years later, they found out that he actually done it anyway. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose in the streets.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in for double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, a man can be tried twice for the same crime.
Yeah, that is not gonna happen here.
6 days? They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing? Well, they are entitled to it. Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
Hey, how'd you like that business about the knife? Have you ever heard a phonier story?
Well, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
They said he bought a switch knife that night.
And you somehow lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
Hey, a hole in his spine.
Off way to kill your father, knife in the chest.
Well, look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
A lewd. You know those hot weather colds can kill you?
I had one last year. Wells on vacation, too.
All right, gentlemen, let's take seats.
Right. This better be quick. I got tickets to a ball game tonight. Yankees, Cleveland. We got this new kid pitching. Majaluski or whatever his name is. He's a real jug handle, this kid. I mean, woo! Quite the ball fans, aren't you? All right, Your Honor. Start the show.
How about sitting down? The gentleman at the window? How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? I mean, a kid kills his father. Ding! Just like that. Well, it's the element. I tell you, they let those kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs in some emotion you may have. Perhaps a certain dislike for some group.
And we all agreed it was hot.
And that our tempers will get short? That's if we disagree. But this is open and shut. Let's get it done.
All right. Now you gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I will make the rules. If we want to discuss this first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote now and see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah. Let's see who's where.
All right. Let's vote now.
All right, let us vote.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. All right. That's 11 for guilty. Not guilty.
I don't know.
After 6 days, he doesn't know.
Hey, in 6 days, I've become calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe it's as simple as ABC.
I've never saw a guiltier man in my life.
And what does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty, so are we to decide on his face?
You sat right in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You can see it.
And where do you look to see if a man is a killer?
Oh, well.
No, I would like to know. Tell me what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something that I don't.
Look, what is about this case that makes you think that this boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father. 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should avoid using emotionally colored arguments.
All right. They proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story?
No.
Do you really believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
Look, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to just raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
And who says it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard one.
I think the kid is guilty. You can talk to me about it for 100 years, but you couldn't change my mind.
Well, I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking of?
Look, I just want to talk for a while. Look, this boy, he's been kicked around all his life, you know? He's living in a slum. His mother's dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid, but you know why some kids get that way? It's because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I just think that maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
All right. It was hard, sure. It was hard for me. Everything I thought I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago. And perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed no one.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you work in the ad agency and the big boys who buy the ads company. We all know.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a sign. Let's try to find something better than that.
You know what? No. I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe that kid a damn thing. You got a fair trial, didn't he? Do you know what that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. We're not going to sit here while you tell us what to believe, knowing what they are. Trust me, I've lived among them all my life. You can't trust a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since on this dishonesty of your characteristic, you have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this man says is very dangerous. Gentlemen, there's no need to be acting like this. I think we ought to behave like gentlemen.
Right.
Okay, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now, if we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
That's a good point. We have a job to do, so let's do it.
Well, if you gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to close the window. It was blowing on my neck.
If you don't mind, I'd like to have the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
It's summer. It's hot. Don't you want a little air?
I was very uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us in this room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rice too.
Yeah, and so do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with somebody at the other end of the table?
All right. I'll open the window. If someone would trade me.
Just take my seat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we get back to the case?
Yeah, let's.
Okay. Okay. Now, I may have an idea here, and I'm just thinking out loud now, but it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're all right and he's wrong. Maybe if we talk for a minute, or, try it on.
That sounds fair.
Very fair.
Suppose we go in order of jury number.
It's all right. Let's do it.
Right. We'll start
start with you. Well, I just think the kid's guilty. I mean, thought it was obvious.
In what ways was it obvious?
I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, and the defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. And that's the Constitution and the Fifth Amendment. Have you heard of it?
Everyone has.
Sure, of course I've heard of it. I mean, it's just, the kid's just guilty, okay?
Right, no reasons. He's just guilty. You know, there's a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts, all right? Let's take the old man who lives on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12, on the nights of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard a body phone, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death around midnight.
Right. Now what else do you want?
I don't know. It doesn't seem to fit.
But the boy's entire story is flimsy. He claims he was at the movies. That's a little bit ridiculous, don't you think? I mean, he couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right. Did you hear that? You're absolutely right.
And, I mean, he didn't have any ticket stub.
Well, who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember him.
The ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? I mean, if her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Hey, let's go in order.
Just a minute. So, here's a woman who's lying in bed, can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyway, she looks out the window, and she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
Well, how can she really be sure that it was the kid when she saw the windows of a passing elevated train?
Well, she's known the kid all his life. His window was right opposite hers, across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay. Hey, and didn't they prove in court that if you look through the windows of a passing elevated train at night, you can see what's happening on the other side? Yeah, they proved it.
But wait, weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't believe them? That you can't trust them? So then let me ask you something. How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fellow, aren't you?
All right. Now take it easy.
Come on. Sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for? Relax.
Gentlemen, they did take us up to the women's room and we looked through the windows of a passing L train. Didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
Well, I wasn't able to see as clearly as they told me that I would see. But yes, I did see what happened on the other side.
Oh, so you see. Do you see?
Let's calm down. It's your turn.
I'll pass it. That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. I started getting convinced with the testimony from those people across the hall. Didn't they say something about a fight breaking out between the father and the boy at around 8 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
Right, yeah, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and saw the boy walk angrily out the house. Right.
But what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just a part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
I don't know. I think most of it's been said already. We could talk about this thing all day, but we're wasting our time.
Well, I don't think that.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
At 15, he was in reform school.
They sent him to reform school for stabbing him.
I mean, this is a very fine boy.
Well, ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. And he used his fists.
Yeah, and so would I on a kid like that.
All right. It's the kids. The way they are, you know. They don't listen. Look at that kid. When he was just 8 years old, he ran away from fights. I saw him. I was so ashamed. So I told him right out. I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna bust you up into little pieces trying. Then he turns 15, and he hits me in the face. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out. All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy. Let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. Now, we're not here to get into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know, and so do you. The children who come out of some backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it.
Yeah. Believe me, I don't want any part of it.
I've lived in a slum all my life. Now, wait a second.
No. I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on you.
All right. Let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on. He didn't mean you, feller. Let's not be sensitive.
Then who did he mean?
I can understand this sensitivity.
Let's stop the bickering. We're wasting time.
It's your turn. All right. Well, I had a peculiar feeling about this trial from the beginning. I mean, somehow I felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. I mean, so many questions were just left unasked.
While my opinion about the guilt of the boy hasn't changed, still, I agree with you that the defense counsel was bad.
Well,
So,
this is a point.
what about facts?
So many questions were never answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switcher, you know? The one that fine, upright kid admitted to crime.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You know, let's get it in here and take a look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
This gentleman has the right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay with me.
This knife, it's a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
Now let's take the sequence of events as it relates to the switch knife.
The boy admits to running out of the house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. The boy went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted to selling it to the kid.
I think we can all agree it's an unusual knife. It's pretty hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said that it was the only one of its kind he ever had in stock. Why did the boy buy it?
A present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
You're right.
You bet he's right. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on his way home, the knife fell through a hole in his coat pocket, that he never saw it again. Now there's your story, gentlemen. We all know it really happened. The boy took the knife home, and a few hours later, he stabbed his father with it. He even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with this case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone took the knife home, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it's possible that maybe he did lose the knife, and that maybe someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept anything. I'm saying that it's possible.
And I'm saying that it's
It's not possible. What are you trying to do here? Where is this?
They're the same night.
All right, let's settle down and get back to the case. Where did you get it?
Around the corner from the kid's house. It cost me $2.
Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Well, maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did go to the movies, and maybe he did lose the knife, but maybe the reason that he didn't say he went to the movies was because he sneaked into the movies, and maybe he was ashamed to admit it. I mean, didn't all of you, like once or twice, just sneak into the movies when you were young?
I did it.
Really? Not even once?
Did that happen to you?
Ah. Well, look, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
And that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Well, what do you think?
You don't have to ask that. You know my answer. You lied.
Well, what about you?
I don't know. Now hold on a second. What are you, the kid's lawyer? There are still 11 of us in this room who think he's guilty. You're alone. What are you trying to accomplish? I mean, you can continue to be stubborn and hang this jury, but the boy will be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
And what are you going to do about it? We can be here all night.
It's only one night. A man may die.
Oh, now, come on.
Well, yes, that's true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Right, so let's get going here.
You obviously don't think the boy is guilty,
Well, I have a doubt in my mind.
but you haven't really presented us with anything that helps us understand your doubt. There was the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy strip it out.
The woman across the O tracks? She saw it.
We know he bought a switch knife that night, and we don't really know where he was. At the movies?
Earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight. The boy's been found all the way, and while it doesn't prove anything,
Still. You guys know.
Well, I've got a proposition to make. I want you 11 men to vote by a secret ballot, and I'll abstain. Now, if there are still 11 votes for guilty, then I won't stand alone, and we can call in a guilty verdict right now.
I mean, that sounds fair. Does anyone object? Does everyone agree? I certainly am.
Let's roll it.
Perhaps this is best.
Guilty, 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 guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Not guilty. Guilty.
How do you like that? Well, who was it? I think we have a right to know.
All right. Who was it? What idiot changed their votes?
Well, is that the way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of the dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know. Who?
So do I. Excuse me. This was a secret ballot. No one looked while we did it. But now I want to know. A secret ballot. We agreed on that point, no? The gentleman wants it to remain a secret. There are no secrets in here. I know exactly who it was. Hey, what's the matter with you? You come in here and you vote guilty. And then this slick preacher starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little kid who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. If that isn't the most
Now
sickening-
hold it. I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair? That's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs. And then all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Now just a minute.
Now you listen to me.
Let's try to keep this organized, gentlemen. This isn't organized, but let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something. I have always thought that a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. This is the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree. Do you disagree with us? Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I'm trying to make is that in my country, I am ashamed
Oh
to
my
say
God!
that.
To be serious, you have to listen to the entire history of your country.
It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yes. Let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you, what made you change your vote?
I want to know too. You haven't told us yet.
Why do you think I changed my vote? Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote either.
See? I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now
Maybe you'd like to know why.
let me tell you why that
Hey! The man wants to talk. Thank you. This gentleman chose not to stand alone against us. That's his right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even when you believe in something very strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If your little speech is over, then I guess we can all go on.
If it was anything in that boy's favor, I vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. Clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get. That's I suppose.
It's not one jury, but he'll come around. I mean, he's got to, and fundamentally, he's a very reasonable guy.
That's so.
They haven't come up with one real fact yet to back the not guilty verdict.
Well, it is hard.
Yes, it is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What even is a reasonable
Exactly. When life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You have to have law and order. You have to draw a line somewhere. If you don't, everyone will just start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
You may think so. I wonder why. I mean, I really wonder why.
Well, you do hear stories about men who have gone to jail or death. And then, years later, things turn out and they didn't do it.
And on the other hand, the killers get turned loose and do it again. They squeeze out with some technicality and kill again.
Look, buddy. Now that we pulled off, why, I was a little excited a minute ago. You know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Okay. Look, supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't kill him, who did?
Well, as far as I'm aware, We're supposed to find out whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else had a motive?
Well, the kid's father was along in years. Maybe an old grudge.
Remember that it is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Supposing you'd explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. A feeling. Perhaps you don't understand.
No, I don't.
I'm sorry.
A feeling. Oh, gentlemen, a feeling. What are we gonna do? Spend the night talking about your feelings. What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling. And he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
But where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. Let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked out into the window and she saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you,
That's not enough for me.
No, it is enough for you. I'd like to know.
How do you like them? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing from a moving elevated train. That train had 5 cars. She saw it for the last 2. She remembers most insignificant details.
what have you got to say about that?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it. Lend me your pencil.
Let's play some tic-tac-toe, huh?
You might as well pass it. Come on.
Well, this isn't a game.
Hey, now wait a minute.
This is a man's life.
Who do you think you are?
All right, let's settle down.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and bounce him. Now, please.
I don't want any fights in here.
Did you see him? The nerve. The absolute nerve. Forget it.
Nina.
Hey, how's mom sitting down?
This isn't a game. This is think he is.
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
All right. How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what does this have to do with anything?
How long would it take? Yes.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
Well, what do you think?
About 10, 12 seconds maybe.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think 10 seconds perhaps.
About 10 seconds.
All right, you agree. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. So an L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now that given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. Now you can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L, right?
That's right. That's right. So,
Well then let me ask you something. Has anyone here ever lived, right by the L tracks?
Yeah, I live close to him.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I mean, God, when your window is open and a train goes by, the noise, it's almost unbearable. I mean, you can't even hear yourself think.
Hey, can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man who lived downstairs heard the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed it.
well, the old man downstairs heard the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you." And then 1 second later, he heard a body fall. That's testimony, right?
right?
And the woman who lived across the street, she said that she looked out of the window of the last 2 cars and saw the body fall. Right?
Right?
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you getting at?
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, which is 2 seconds per car. Now that train had already been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, and maybe more before the body fell, according to the woman. So the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure you can.
With an L train going by?
He said the boy yelled it out.
Well, an L train makes a lot of noise.
It's enough for him.
It's enough for me too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the elements.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you hand one into a newspaper? They pay $2.
And what does that have to do with a man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice that? This is a very old man with a torn jacket, and he carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, who's never had recognition. His name in the newspapers, nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned and listened to and quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us that the old man lied? What, just so he could feel important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he made himself believe he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Wow. That's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How could you make up a thing
I'm not
like that?
making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
What do you know about
I
it?
speak from experience.
What?
I am the same man.
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
Look, if you want to admit that you're a liar, it's all right by me.
Now, that's too much.
He's a liar. He just told us so.
He did not say he was a liar. He was explaining.
Didn't you just admit that you're a liar?
Please, he was explaining the circumstances so that we could understand why the old man might have lied. There's a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Will you have some goddamn compassion?
Gentlemen, please. We have our job and our duty here. I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
All right. Is there anything else?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Cough drop? Anyone? Anyone at the table want a cough drop?
Come on. Let's get on with it.
Oh, I'll say one. Thank you. Right, now there's something else I'd like to point out here. I think we've proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear him anyways.
But, supposing the old man really did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." This phrase, how many times has each of you used it? If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to murder you. And come on, Rocky, kill him! We say it every day. But that does not really mean that we're going to kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs.
Well, do you really think he would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood would hear him? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that. Bright?
He's a common, ignorant slum. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy's clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What is the doubt?
There's the knife.
Oh, fine.
He talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on. Give us your reasons.
And the old man too. Maybe he didn't lie, but maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't even like the boy.
Well, if that isn't the end.
Look, I believe that there is a reasonable doubt here.
And what are you basing it on? Stories that this guy made up? I mean, he ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up any of these points?
You know, lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, brother. You know, you come in here pulling stories out of thin air. Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's the testimony I believe.
And the old man swore to this, yes? He swore to this. He swore to this just so he can be important.
I'm sorry, did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
But he said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to his front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Well, where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall. Oh, so are we to send a man off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Oh, I thought you remembered everything.
Huh?
Oh, don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment again, please.
Oh,
Why don't we have them run the entire trial over for you, just so you can get everything straight? The man's room is down the hall somewhere. Do you know exactly where it is, please? A man's life is at stake here, so do you know? Yeah, Mr. Foreman,
I heard you.
all right?
It's this one. How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
No, I want to see this one too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start waiting around about where the body was found?
No, we're going to find out how a man who's had, 2 strokes in the past 3 years, and who walks with a pair of canes, could get to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds. He said 15. How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. You saw that. Half of the time he was confused. How can he be positive about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. But maybe you know.
This what you want?
That's right. Thank you.
You want this?
Yes, please. Do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
You know, I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
If some of us are interested, go ahead.
Okay. So, this is the diagram of the apartment in which the killing took place. Now, the old man's apartment is directly beneath it, and it's exactly the same. Here are the L tracks. A bedroom, another bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom. Here's the front door to the apartment, and here are the steps. Now, the man got out of bed in this room. So you're telling me he walked out of this room into the hallway, and then went down the hallway and looked at the front door to see the boy racing down the steps, right?
That's your story.
That's what happened. 15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
His bed is at the window. Now, it's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door, and the length of the hallway is 43 feet and 6 inches. So I'm sorry, you're telling me that this man got out of bed, grabbed both of his canes, walked 12 feet to the door, walked another 43 feet down the hall, and looked out all in time to see the boy running down the steps. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry.
He did hear the scream.
He can only walk very slowly. They have to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses canes, it's a long walk.
What are you doing?
I want to try out this thing. You know, I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
Crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
No, it's a ridiculous waste of time.
Hey, let him do it. I don't see harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Someone hand me a chair. Thank you. All right. So this will be the front door. How far would you say it is from here to the door of this room?
I'd say it's about 20 feet.
Just about? 20 feet is close enough. So from here to there and back, it's about 40 feet. Now it's shorter than the length the old man had to walk through, wouldn't you say that?
A few feet, maybe.
This is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
Can't stop him.
Yeah, do you mind if I try it? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. But we can spare that. Does anyone have a watch with a second hand on it?
Oh, I do.
All right, when you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the sound of the body falling.
What time are we from there?
Okay. And we'll say he keeps his canes at his bedside, right?
All right.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I'm ready.
I want the hand to be at 60.
Speed it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it isn't.
If you think I should speed it up, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Okay, stop.
Right.
What's the time?
20, 27, 30, 39 seconds.
Exactly.
That can't be. 39 seconds.
Now that's interesting.
Well, I mean,
What do you think of that?
39 seconds. 39.
And that old cripple sworn his oath it was 15.
You may have been a little bit off on the speed that the old cripple moved at, but 24 seconds off, and now you know.
Far be it for me to call anyone a liar, and even for allowing quite a difference in speed between the old man and you. Why still there's quite a discrepancy.
Yeah. You know, it's my guess that the old man saw someone running down the little area, and I think he just assumed that it was the boy.
I think it's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day. But this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell them. Come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice. And you make up these wild stories.
You have some soft-hearted old ladies listening to you.
Well, I'm not. Getting real sick of it. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers.
Through our fingers. Right, so are you his executioner?
Oh, I'm one of them.
Well, perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you'd bet on it.
Then I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull that switch.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Hey, shut up.
You know, you want to see this boy die, but not because of the facts, but because you personally want it. You know, you are a beast. You disgust me.
Shut up! Let me go! I'll kill her! I'll kill her!
But you don't really mean you'll kill me, now do you?
Something wrong?
Take that back.
Well, what are you looking at?
I don't see any need to behave like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is the remarkable thing about democracy, that we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by the verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We shall not make it a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
You forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere. No, we're somewhere. Or we're getting there, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, who's got an idea?
I think maybe we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
Start with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
I want an open ballot. Let's call our votes. I want to know who stands where.
All right. Does anyone object? I'll call up your jury numbers. I still vote guilty.
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty?
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12,
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
I'll tell you something. The crime is being committed right in this damn room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
Ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There is no point in this going on anymore.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind. And why you changed your mind. And why you did. There are 6 men here who think that we may be turning a murderer loose on the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
I don't think it is likely that the old man saw the boy run downstairs. And I don't think it is likely that the old man heard the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you." Old men dream. And if the old man did hear the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you," we have the authority of this man to show us that he might not actually kill him.
Why don't we take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys? 6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree.
It's got to be unanimous. And we're never going to convince him.
At first I was alone. But now 5 other men agree that there is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there is a doubt. Because I know there isn't no doubt.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it. We're not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now a perfect balance. Let's take it into the judge.
If there's a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
The doubt is there, in my mind.
Listen. Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean vote? Not again.
I still want to know. Vote on what?
Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
You mean we vote, yes, we are a hung jury, or no, we are not a hung jury?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
You can't even agree about whether or not the window should be.
Well, let's make it a majority vote. The majority wins. If 7 or more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we will take it to the judge and tell him that we are a hung jury.
Right. And if 7 or more of us vote no, then that means that we're not a hung jury and we go and discuss it.
It doesn't seem quite right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree, it's the only way.
Anything to end this? So are we agreed? 7 or more of us vote yes, and then we'll take it into the judge.
Let's call out our votes.
I vote yes. We are a hung jury. Number 2.
No.
3.
Yes.
4. Yes. 5.
No?
6.
No.
7.
Yes.
8.
No.
9.
No.
10.
Yes.
11.
No.
12.
Yes.
Your vote is 6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question. I didn't agree with voting that way, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote. I say no, we are not a hung jury. I believe this boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. There are still some things I want to figure out from the gentlemen who changed their minds.
Then that means that we're not a hung jury, so we go on and discuss it.
Good. We go on.
Why did you change your mind?
Well, he seems so sure, and he has made a number of good points. And him? He only just gets mad, and he just ends up insulting everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murderer loose because one of the jurors gets angry when he thinks a murderer is going to be turned loose?
That's true. There is a doubt here.
I don't think so. The track is straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the L train could have made a low rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard a scream, which is high pitch. And it is a tenement, and they do have thin walls.
Good. Good. That's it. That's it.
And what if the old man was wrong about how long it took him to get to the front door, but right about whom he saw? Please remember that there weren't any fingerprints on the knife. And summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now I want you to listen to this man. He's got the goods.
It could have taken him a few seconds to get out a handkerchief and wipe away the fingerprints.
That's a point.
Why don't we just time this? See.
Just what are we timing here?
Yes, let's be exact.
All I'm saying is, the old man may have been wrong about how long it took him to get to the front door, but right about whom he saw running down the stairs. Now, it could have taken him about 39 seconds to wipe away all the fingerprints and get down to the place where the old man saw him, the boy that is.
That is right.
I mean, we reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door, and we timed that. So I guess we can reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think a murderer could use up to 30 or 40 seconds pretty easily at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Here. You do the stab.
No, I'll do it.
Why don't you be the one that gets stabbed? You're younger than I am. And don't forget, you take 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side. So fall and roll onto your right side. If someone hates someone enough to kill him, don't you think that it's reasonable to assume that that murderer will look at their victim for a second or two?
Hey, report yourself in this particular case.
What's human nature?
Yes, it seems reasonable.
Hey, now wait a minute. He falls and he ends up on his right side, the father. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them. He would have worked around there for a few seconds, lying down on the floor, writhing maybe.
That's quite possible. There should have been enough oxygen in the system to carry him for a few seconds, I should think.
What if the father cried out? Maybe he held his mouth.
That also seems possible.
Also, there's another thing we shall point out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away the fingerprints after murdering someone, well, that person is clear enough mentally to look around the apartment or the room in this case for any other clues. It should have taken him about a few seconds, but still, he would look.
It's better and better.
All I'm saying is one doesn't talk about quality when murder is involved. Well, let's do it.
About this on the fingerprints. Excuse me. The K wiped the fingerprints off the knife, right? Well, what about the doorknobs? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping off the doorknobs as he came in with a handkerchief, it would give me an uneasy feeling. So that means that the doorknobs must have been wiped after the killing, and this too will take some time.
You timed the last one. Why don't you time this one too? Okay.
I want the hand to be at 60.
I'm going to kill you. You would have wiped off both doorknobs. Stop.
Right. 20, 27, 29 seconds. I can say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I think it was the boy, would have had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least one flight of stairs.
You see?
So the old man may have been wrong on the time, but in view of this, I think it is reasonable to assume that he did see the boy run downstairs.
So now both time sequences check out. One you did, and one we did. What with running downstairs and everything, it does pretty much check out on times. And sure he's an old man who wants attention. Maybe he's right. But the old man feels the way we all do. A life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may as well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore under oath that it was only 15 seconds.
We seem to all agree that it was 25 to 40 seconds later.
So you're now admitting that the old man lied in one case, but told the truth in the other. I do admit this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, but in part he's now a proven liar, and this is by your own admission.
That may be true, that the old man lies in part, but it will definitely change my vote once more. Guilty.
And what about you? What do you think now?
I don't know what I think. At first I was guilty, and then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty. And what about you?
No, I'm not real down. Real down.
I say guilty. Great person.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here.
It seems to be back to 9 guilty and 3 not guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you have ever lived in apartment buildings?
I do not know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
Well, I do not live in a tenement, but it is close and there is just enough light in the hall so you can see the steps. No more the light bulbs are so small, and this murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled down the steps?
Yeah, the police used those big bulbs and one even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds. On this, we all agree that the old man looked down the dark hallway of the tenement and saw a running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time. It took twice as long as he thought.
Could not the old man be 100% wrong about who he saw? That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. You're making that up out of thin air.
You're a humdrum. It happens sometimes.
Do you truly feel that there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
Beg your pardon, but maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? You know, who do you think you are to talk to me like that? You know, how do you like this guy? He comes over here, running for his life, and before he can even take a big breath, he's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance in
No
him.
one here is asking where anyone came from.
Yeah, I was born right
Or
here.
where your father came from.
Maybe it would hurt to take some advice from people who come running here. Maybe they know something that we don't. We're not so perfect.
Please. I'm used to this. It is all right. Thank you.
It's not all right. Okay. Okay, I apologize. Is that what you wanted?
That's what I wanted.
All right, let's stop the argument. Who has something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bugging me a little bit. This whole business about the saddle, the way it was made, never angle it, you know?
Don't tell me you were going to start that. They went over it and over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy, he's about 5 feet, 8 inches tall. His father, 6 feet, 2 inches tall. That's a difference of about 6 inches. It's very, I'd imagine it's a very awkward thing. Stacked downward in the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'm going to give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Now watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. Is this 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay. Let it be more. That's not funny!
What is the matter with you?
No one's hurt, are they?
No, no one's hurt.
There's your ankle. Take a look at it. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest. And that's how it was done. Take a look at it and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no arguing.
Did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
And where do you get all your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stab?
No.
All right. Take a look at this. Take a look at this angle. I mean, you're right. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with you? Give me that knife.
You ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, in the movies.
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny that I didn't think of it before. Guess you're trying to forget these things? Look, anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed downwards. You don't handle a switch knife that way. Instead, you use it underhanded.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if he's ever had any experience with switch knives. And we know that boy has a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You know, you're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo.
Well, you. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know.
What about you?
Well, I'll tell you all something. I'm a little sick and tired of this whole thing already. We're getting nowhere fast. Let's break it up and go home.
Well, before we decide anything further, I'd like to try to pull this together.
This should be good.
He has a right. Let him go ahead.
Right.
How many times
Let's hear
I want you all to look at this logically and consistently. We have guilty. I want to know, is this kid smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a kid who's gone to reform school for knife one. The night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife, and it would then take a very stupid kid to go and murder a man, his father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I'd agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why did he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced knife fighter would make?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take a great emotion, great hatred. And at that moment, he would have handled the knife as best he could. A trained knife fighter would handle it the way he had been trained, under him. But a man who had not been trained would go overhand. This kid is being very smart. Everyone knows that he's an experienced knife fighter, so he's smart enough at that moment to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. Now, that man is a smart man. Smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away, and perhaps even smart enough to wait until an L train was going by in order to cover the noise. So is this kid smart or is he dumb?
Now, wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the L track saw the murder through the L train. So someone in the L train could have seen the murder too.
A possibility, yes, but no one that we know of.
It would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance. Doing the murder as the train went by?
Exactly. It would take a dumb man, a very stupid man, a man swept by emotion. Probably, he heard nothing at all. And whoever did murder the father did it as well as he could.
So,
This kid is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with a switch knife. A switch knife murder. But then a moment after the murder, he becomes smart. The kid is smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. But yet, at the same instant, he is dumb enough to do the murder as an L train is going by. But then a second later, he becomes smart and wipes off the fingerprints. To say this boy is guilty, you have to say that he is dumb from about 8 o'clock until about midnight. And then at about midnight, he becomes smart for a second, then dumb, then smart. Then once again, he becomes stupid, so stupid that he does not think of a good alibi. So once again, is this kid smart or is he dumb? To say he is guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like it's a pancake. There is a doubt, doubt, doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs. Understand, he swore that it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds, but we all agree it must have been at least 40 seconds.
Does the old man lie half of the time, and then does he tell the truth the other half of the time?
The woman across the street, she looked out the windows of the last 2 cars and saw the boy stick it into his father. I mean, for this kid to be guilty, you'd have to say that he's dumb for 1 second, and then smart for another second, and then he's dumb, and then he's smart, and so on and so forth. And also, for this kid to be guilty, you have to say that the old man who lives downstairs is a liar half the time, but the other half of the time he tells the truth. So you can reasonably doubt.
I gotta admit, I'm sold on reasonable doubt. I think I am too.
I want more talk. And now I've had it.
I want another vote.
All right. There's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. All those voted not guilty. Raise your hand.
3. Vote is 9 to 3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you. How can you believe that this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people lie. And I'm gonna tell you. You don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any big reason to kill someone either. They get drunk and bang! Someone's lying dead in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's just how they are, you know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. You know, pal. Look, these people are fighting and drinking all the time, and if someone gets killed, so someone gets killed. They don't care. Oh, look. There are some good things about them, too. Hey, I'm the first one to say that. I've known a few in my life who are pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they got no feelings. What's going on? Speaking of things. Listen to me! They're no good! There's not a one of them that's any good. Take it from me. This kid on trial. Oh, don't you know about them? Listen to me. What are you all doing? I am trying to tell you something.
I had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm gonna split your skull.
I'm only trying to tell you.
All right, sit down, everyone. I still believe that this boy is guilty. Let me tell you why. To me, the most damning piece of evidence was given by the woman across the street who claimed she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
All right, then let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She went to bed at about 11 o'clock. Her bed is right next to the open window, and she could see directly into the window across the street while lying down. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, at 12:10, she turned towards the window and seen the kid stab his father. To me, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
In view of this, I don't see how any of you can vote for guilty. What do you think?
I mean, there's so much evidence to sift through, maybe.
What do you mean, maybe? He's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my feeling too. Now, I don't deny the durability that this man has given us. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks, there is doubt. But what can you say about the woman across the street? She saw it.
Okay. You know what time it is? 10 minutes of 6.
You don't think they let us go home and start this in the morning? I got a kid with the most.
Not a chance. Well, hey. Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly, no.
Oh.
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
There. Well, what do you do when you wake up at night and you want to know what time it is?
Well, I put on my glasses and I look at the clock.
I just lie in bed and wait for my clock to chime. My father gave it to me when he married my wife and I. It was about 10 years before we had a place to put it.
So you don't wear your glasses to bed? Of course not. I mean, who wears eyeglasses to bed? The woman who testified that she saw the killing. She wears glasses, doesn't she?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course. The woman wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right. Bifocals. She never took them off. Funny. I hadn't thought of that.
I think it's safe to assume that she was not wearing her glasses to bed. And I don't think that she put them on just to glance casually out the window. She testified that the killing happened the second that she looked out the window, and then a second after that, the lights went out. She couldn't have had time to put her glasses on then. Now, perhaps the woman honestly thought that she saw the boy kill his father. I say that she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does he know all these things?
Does anyone still think that there's not a reasonable doubt? I'll always wonder. There is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No. I'm convinced now. There's a reasonable doubt.
You're alone. 11 votes not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
Yes, you do.
Well, I told you. I think he's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
Well, we're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have the time.
What's the matter with you? You're the guy. You made all the arguments. You can't turn now. A guilty man's going to be walking the streets. A murderer. He's got to die. Stay with me.
I'm sorry, but I'm convinced. I'm not wrong often, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my own opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
Right, well, then I guess there's nothing that we can do about that except hope. Why, maybe some night, in a few months, you might get some sleep. You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone. If this is a hung jury, then there will be another trial, and some of us will point these things out to various lawyers.
All right.
They're waiting.
guilty.